Thank you very much for joining us for this afternoon conversation. Two very honorable guests here on stage with me, Dr. Gaetano Cavalieri, who's the president of CIBJO and who has been a very influential person in the jewelry industry for several decades. CIBJO is the World Jewellery Confederation. You're also a board member of many other organizations, and you partner with many other organizations. And Dr. Guido Grohmann, who is has a degree in business administration and who is general manager of the Federal Association of the German Jewelry and Silverware Industry. So we're going to be having this conversation in English, and the title is really about building bridges. I think one of the questions that might appear sometimes is, what is the value of a trade association? Or people ask themselves that. Why should I become a member? What can a trade organization do for me or for my company? And that really was the idea of having this conversation today, was to really get some answers from two very influential people who lead leading trade associations. So perhaps, Gaetano, to begin with, could you briefly introduce CIBJO, the World Jewellery Confederation, its mission, membership, and the key area of focus since you've been leading it?
Thank you very much, Laurent. Thank you, all of you, for being here this afternoon to listen to us. CIBJO is a French acronym, Confédération Internationale de Bijouterie, Jewellery, Orfèvrerie, Pearl et Pierres Précieux, which translated in English is the World Jewelry Confederation, because it's the umbrella organization of the national association all around the world. Was born in 1926 in Paris, that's why the French acronym, and today is representing nearly 50 countries, and through the membership is representing 7,200,000 companies around the world. And is the only organization in this industry recognized by government, so we talk to government, and is sitting in the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. The mission is very simple. We are in the side of the consumer and consumer confidence, because by defending and trying to ensure consumer confidence toward the industry, in the meantime, we help and we ensure the industry to behave towards the consumer properly. What does it mean properly? Means with legitimate processes, with full disclosure, informing the consumer exactly what is the meaning of each product and what I mean for the meaning of each product, meaning informing what are the components of each product and where from the components are coming. So it is essential today, more than ever, to be fully transparent. Transparency has been always the most important element in our industry. But not only that, transparency with honesty and reputation of every single company, person, entrepreneur, representative in this industry. Because of that, the reputation has been built. And when you lose the reputation one time, it's lost forever. It's very difficult to bring reputation back. And this industry, even though it's a large industry, but in the meantime, is a small industry, because the key people, we know each other since ever. And I take experience on my family business, which is a business that was born 1821, but still, you know, the people knows who is around, to whom to talk, to get information. In other words, to have a network, a solid network of honesty, transparency, and reputation. This will bring automatic or quite automatically with the transparency of the processes from mining to retail. So mining, process the rocks, whatever it is in terms of precious stones or precious metals or pearls or corals and so on, the method of manufacturing, the system they use in manufacturing, if they are complying with the rules. So is a number of elements that bring the reputation of this industry, and we in CIBJO, the World Jewelry Confederation, not only we support, but we try to give all the elements. I will speak about those elements and tools just afterwards, in order to let our industry, wherever the industry is, grow and flourish.
Thank you, Gaetano. And maybe now we heard from an international organization. Mr. Grohmann, could you give us a German perspective? You're also a member of CIBJO, involved in CIBJO. There's a national level, there's an international level. Can you speak to us about your organization and what you do for your members?
Yes. Thank you, Laurent, for having us. Good afternoon, everyone. Our association was founded in 1947, just after the Second World War, in Pforzheim, where the Pforzheim jewelry manufacturers just started to build up their factories again after the war. And we were founded as an employers association only, but over the time and over the decades we merged with other federations or associations as well. For example, with the Watch Manufacturing Association in Pforzheim, with the Watch Manufacturing Association in the Black Forest region, with the Distributors Association, and so on. So eventually we formed into being the Federal Association for the jewelry and watch manufacturers, and I have to say, together with our partners in Ida Oberstein, there's the Federal Association of the Gemstone and Diamond Industry. We represent whatever is manufactured in our industry. What we do is pretty much has to do a lot with what Gaetano just said for the international level. We also talk to governments on the national level, but most importantly, we bring whatever we learn in our country and we bring it into CIBJO as being a member, and we also make use of the network that Gaetano was speaking about in order to, and I make this very bluntly, in order to solve problems for our members in our association. What I always tell them, whatever question you might have, if it is jewelry or watch related, no matter if it's process, if it's a technical question, whatever it can be, we are here to answer that question for you if Google cannot answer it.
Could you give us a concrete example of a question that a member might have or has had over the last year or two? And is there...
There are too many of them.
Too many, okay.
Yeah, but
just as an example.
I can make an... Well, one big topic we discuss at the moment is how we get the next generation into our industry. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a big problem for every industry. Our society is getting older and older. So within the next 10 years, we have the problem that a lot more people will leave into retirement than we can get young people in. And on top of that, we are competing with all the other industry for this young talent. So that's a very difficult question for our member companies. How do we get young people? So that's what an association is there for. We say, well, let's all get into one room and think about ways how we can do it. If it's a single problem that needs to be solved in a member company, we talk directly to the member company. But things get interesting when we can bring them into a room, discuss the problem, and then come forward with a solution, which we did for this problem with a website we all together put onto the internet where we look for young talent, and this sounds like a very generic idea to do, but it works really well. We are very proud of it, and our member companies find not the quantity they need, but at least they find a new talent through our website, which is great.
And it's much more impactful as a group effort and an association effort than if a single member were just to put out an advertisement, right?
I think that's one part what Gaetano just said about networks. We are there to get people in a room, discuss things, and come up with something greater than you would have been able to think of when you just thought about it for yourself, right?
Thank you. And Gaetano, maybe you can share a little bit about some of the initiatives that CIBJO has worked on, and maybe one that has really significantly influenced the jewelry supply chain or market. I take the example of the Blue Books. I mean, this is something very actionable that is updated over the years. How is that having a positive impact ultimately on both companies and also the end consumers and confidence that end consumers have in the jewelry trade?
Well, the Blue Books are living documents. Why living document? Because we're born at the time, many decades ago, and the name is Blue Books because at the time the cover of the book was blue. So just big fantasy, Blue Book. Still the Blue Books, during its dynamic life, as a living document, has been adopted all over the world. In many countries is national law. For instance, in France, is a national law, but in many other countries around the world. And in other countries are the terms of reference used also in the Court of Justice, where the let's say, fight, if I could use this terminology, is regulated by the Blue Books as term of reference for the judge or the judges, including we have, let's say, in the past years, 2 cases in the United States, even though in the United States they obviously refer to the Federal Trade Commission regulation. But the Blue Books nowadays are becoming much more important, and I give you 2 specific cases. One was a few days ago, I was speaking with one of our vice presidents in India, and he was in Surat, in one of the cutting natural diamond factories. And the son of the owner, who is something around, I believe, 35, 40 years, he was just saying, I have the Blue Book on the table because we follow what is written in Surat. I know the name of the company. I never had the pleasure to talk to them, but still that's what they said. Yeah. That's one case. The other case is the fact that we have decided a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, to launch what is the CIBJO Academy. And the CIBJO Academy is based on put the Blue Book language in plain language in order to give the young generation, the student, the gemologist or the new gemologist, all the elements in how to be prepared to what is the best practice principles in the gems and jewelry industry. We have agreed with several organizations in Thailand, in Bahrain, in China, in India, and now, let's say in few months in Germany, I can see Dr. Thomas Lin here present, and the dean who is in charge of the CIBJO Academy will be in Ida Oberstein for the 50th anniversary of the German Gemological Association, where we talk about it. We have made an agreement in Italy where in 10 days or 2 weeks, more or less, will be another element where the CIBJO Academy will be there presenting all this. In other words, what we are doing today, or since quite a while, is investing in the young generation. Why? Because the young generation will be the generation in few years' time that will rule not only our industry, but let's say the world in general, hoping that if we can make some little contribution, that the world could be even better, especially what is happening today, which obviously I don't comment because it's not my role, but our mission is always giving the right tools to improve the quality of our industry worldwide.
Yeah, and as you very well said in your introduction, information is key and transparency is key, and that is how consumer confidence will be upheld. Thank you very much for that. Guido, could you maybe share another example of a program or initiative that you feel has had a visible impact in Germany, or some of the needs that jewelers, retailers, or dealers may require? I'm thinking also about terminology around diamonds. It's a topic we addressed yesterday, but I think it is important. And Gaetano, I don't think you were present for the conversation yesterday, but we had a conversation about synthetic diamonds, natural diamonds, and some people felt that there was also still some confusion around terminology. And we, clearly said to people, both CIBJO and the diamond industry terminology guidelines are available, so there is clarity there. What does that look like on the German market?
Well, I think that is the right example, because next to the topic that I just mentioned, the biggest discussion at the moment is sustainability in general. This is not only stones, this is also gold related especially. We're talking a lot about recycled gold, about mined gold, about small scale mining, etc., etc. But of course it's also for stones. And we on a national level are there to distribute what we have agreed on, we all have agreed on, the whole industry has agreed on an international level. It's a bit difficult because, of course, wherever there's a lot of money involved, you will always have others arguing in a different direction. We can only be there to tell people what the rules are. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing this over the last few years, and I'm greening at Thomas Lind now. I've been doing this over the last years for such an amount of time and for so long that the topic is almost boring for me. Don't get me wrong, but I always think, like, we've said it 100 times, we don't have to say it another time. But we have to continue doing it because it's a hot market at the moment, and of course people want to earn money. And we basically, this is very important, because I've heard, or I've even read in an interview, that people at this stage think that I'm against synthetic diamonds or something. And I always tell people I couldn't care less if you put a diamond, a synthetic diamond, a glass stone, or even a chewing gum into your ring. I don't care. But you have to communicate it the right way. And that's the core of what we as associations are there for, to tell people what the rules are and to tell them again and again and again, in the hope that they will use them in order to not lose consumer trust.
Yeah,
if I may.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
Gaetano,
but
please.
If I may. I mean, CIBJO position on synthetic diamond or laboratory-grown diamond is very clear and simple. Synthetic diamonds and natural diamonds are two different products, and they have the right to be on the market legitimately. At one condition, one, not 20, one, full disclosure. Yeah. The relations between the synthetic diamond people and the natural diamond people has been what has been, I mean, everybody knows. But I believe that the most important element on that is the consumer confidence. And the consumer has the right, by law, to be treated properly. Means that the consumer has the right to be fully informed what is what, in order to have a clear understanding to make a legitimate choice, what to buy, how much to pay. So what I'm saying is, today we have, several tools, from blockchain to the element of sustainability and transparency. We have rules to follow, and we have a list of rules to follow, which is not so difficult. So we have to go in that kind of direction. I mean, for sure, natural diamond is one thing, and synthetic diamond is a completely different thing. If the people think that is the same, despite what is advertised, honestly, there is a big difference in terms also of the price.
But I should maybe clarify also, my question to Guido was not necessarily about saying you are the policeman for these things and you're the bad guy as some people feel you are. It's more that if retailers or people are unsure about terminology, associations are a point of contact to say, listen, I don't know, can you please guide me to that? And CIBJO has the blue books for free online. You have terminology available online, people can contact you, and that is the value of the association, is also to give information to its members.
If I may add.
Yes.
What was told to me recently, last year in China, the people was thinking, the people meaning the consumer, were thinking to be cheated because the one and the other, because evidently there was not enough transparency. Well, what was declared to me by very important people, that the market in China was dropping in terms of consumer confidence 60% overnight. Why? Because evidently was not so clear. So this is something that we have to avoid, the risk to lose consumer on the industry in general, because the people is misbehaving. So our role in terms of educating the people to behave or giving the information in order that they are fully aware of what's going on is essential.
So that is kind of your guiding star then, consumer confidence, right? How do you, Gaetano, given that you have so many members from many different countries, many different interests also, miners, but also retailers, how do you build bridges? That was the title of this conversation. How do you deal with all this momentum? Do you have to have one clear mission and that really is the aim? Or what's your experience with that?
Listen, the mission is one for all. It's is increasing the business and at the end of the day make more money. But you cannot do if you do not have a proper dialogue. And the dialogue is trying to harmonize, which is the core business of CIBJO, harmonize the different interests in order to bring forward what is, again, the major element of each part, each segment of the entire supply chain, meaning to get more confidence into the market, informing the consumer what is what, clearly, transparently, and giving the consumer the elements of the responsible choice.
Thank you. And Guido, maybe in your experience, what are the most important factors for ensuring buy-in from diverse industry members in Germany? There's also a lot of very young goldsmiths, young brands, people starting who are less established. What would you say to them in terms of becoming members of an industry association? How do you kind of navigate these different interests from big companies to individual goldsmiths?
That's actually a difficult question because there are so many levels.
Yeah.
It's a young company, an old company, a big company, a small company. When people ask me, I always tell them my own story because I used to be on the other side. I was a member company of my own association before I even joined the association. And I always tell them that my feeling always was that whatever I have to pay to the association as a membership fee should somehow at the end of the year be balanced out by what I received in terms of information, in terms of contacts. It should somehow level out. And I was a real active member of my association, and I would say for the years I was a member, I leveled this out, cost versus what I got in March. Just as a perspective.
Okay.
So, meaning that I didn't even care about what the cost. I got so much back by meeting new people, by being put into a room, as I just said, by just getting information. Whatever question I have, I can call someone and they will probably tell me, I don't know all the answers, but I know someone who knows the answer. That gives you so much back that for me, it was not a choice. It was just clear that I had to be a member there. And I hope when I tell this story that people can make up their mind if that would be something they would use as well. But I always also tell them, we always, associations work a little bit like fitness studios, like gyms. In order to get our finance, we need those members that never call. and never answer questions, because if we would have to answer everybody a question each day, we would need much more employees. Yeah. But we work very closely together with those who are active. And for them, I think it's not a question if it is worth to be a member or not. That question is usually not even put out there in the first place.
Thank you. And Gaetano, what would you say to people who are maybe in the audience or watching who have heard of CIBJO, who don't know how to contribute or how to join? Any words on that? Who maybe might be a little bit intimidated because it's such a global organization? How can people become more involved? Because I think you live also from your members and the time to people commit to CIBJO, right?
Well, just send us an email or call me. My number is on the website, so whenever you wish, just call. We will answer, and we try to communicate properly. And you all are invited to be part of our big family. It's a wonderful network.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you, for these answers, this conversation. And if there's any more questions, I'm sure that Gaetano and Guido will be here for another little while.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening.
Is there a question from the audience? There is a question. Wonderful.
Hello, thank you very much. Grazie mille, dankeschön. We are members of the newly formed Irish Jewellers and Silversmiths Guild. And my question is, I was wondering, have you any advice for a guild or an organisation that is in its fledgling period? So we are only established 2 years. We started here in Inhorgenta over a few beers in the evening, but we have rapidly grown our membership to around 200 jewellers and silversmiths on the island of Ireland. Yes, have you any advice for us, really?
Yes, you may immediately submit an application to CIBJO. So you will be brought into the world community. I will give you my card afterwards.